if you can't trust the American press to give it to you straight so you can draw your own conclusions, so you can make up your own minds, then you're losing your country. And this is happening every day, whether it's the phony Russia dossier issue, the same media cheering on the Democrat prosecutors, cheering on the Democrat judges, threatening the Supreme Court justices if they don't rule a certain way, demanding that Trump have a trial before the election, be convicted before the election, and preferably thrown into prison. This is the media. Donald Trump gives a speech, talks about a bloodbath. He's talking about our auto industry, because Communist China is trying to get around the tariffs he put in place, 20% tariffs, by going to Mexico, building factories in Mexico, and shipping their cars that way. So Donald Trump says, no, that's not going to happen. I'll put 100% tariff on them. And in that context, he talks about a bloodbath. And so what happens is that scores of networks with news platforms, what do? They take it completely out of context, and intentionally so, to try and create the impression that Donald Trump is talking about a bloodbath after the election if he doesn't win. This is what I keep talking about. This is totalitarianism. This is Chapter 4 in The Democrat Party Hates America. This is how you lose countries. This is how you lose societies. When the truth is irrelevant, when the law is irrelevant, when you can say whatever you want to say and it sticks. The talking points came from the Biden campaign, from Biden and his campaign. They twisted his words and they put it out. And so now he supports a bloodbath. You know, it's interesting, folks. It's very hard to watch these other networks. I watched CNN for about an hour last week. It's very painful because you see the lies, you see the propaganda, and it's one after another, one host after another, one guest after another, one so-called reporter after another. You know, on Fox, we have our differences. Even conservatives have differences, whether it's Ukraine or whatever it is. And there are liberals spattered throughout. It's not a liberal network. It is what it is. But it's what news used to be. Today, these other networks, these other platforms, as I wrote in On Freedom of the Press, are Democrat Party mouthpieces and operations. That's it. Period. So let's take a look at this. There's a group called the Young Turks. They're not so young anymore, but they are Marxist socialists. Some of them are Islamists. They are very, very radical, the Young Turks. And even they couldn't believe the effort that was made to turn Trump's bloodbath into something he never said. Let's take a look. Go.
If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country.
That statement sounds pretty bad. Trump made it during a rally speech in Ohio over the weekend. And if you were to just hear that portion of his statement, you would assume that he was calling for a bloodbath should he fail to get elected in 2024, the general election. Well, the media, unfortunately, with the help of the Democratic Party, has actually done a fine job completely taking Trump's speech at this Ohio rally out of context to make it seem like he said something that he didn't actually say. And the bloodbath narrative that's playing out in the media is not only dishonest. After the full context was made apparent to the Trump critics, they doubled down on making it appear as though he was calling for violence in the country. Now, here's the fuller context, and then we'll discuss what we think about it. Let's watch.
Mexico has taken, over a period of 30 years, 34% of the automobile manufacturing business in our country. Think of it, went to Mexico. China now is building a couple of massive plants where they're going to build the cars in Mexico and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something to China. If you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal, those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think you're going to get that, you're going to not hire Americans, and you're going to sell the cars to us. Now, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath.
So presenting Trump's statement as one in which he's calling for a bloodbath if he fails to get elected is incredibly dishonest.
Talking about a bloodbath for America. It's laid out in the terms of it. And these idiots on Twitter, these idiots on cable news, these idiots on Sunday shows going, well, yeah, presidents, you know, he was talking only about the auto industry, and this is one more. It's just, let me say that at 6:15 a.m. It's just, he knew what he was doing. We're not stupid. Americans aren't stupid. He was talking about a bloodbath. Sometimes a bloodbath means a bloodbath. And when he finishes by saying, and that's just going to be the least of it, seriously, these people may be stupid. We're not.
There really is something rich about Joe Scarborough calling everyone else stupid as he continues to push a completely manufactured and fake narrative about what Trump said during that speech.
My hat's off to the Young Turks. Kudos to them, because at least they're honest. They're certainly honest about this. The constant effort at propaganda and demagoguery is a cancer in a free society. If you can't trust what we used to call the fourth estate, some people call it the fifth estate, if you can't trust the American press to give it to you straight so you can draw your own conclusions, so you can make up your own minds, then you're losing your country. And this is happening every day, whether it's the phony Russia dossier issue, whatever it is. The same media cheering on the Democrat prosecutors, cheering on the Democrat judges, threatening the Supreme Court justices if they don't rule a certain way, demanding that Trump have a trial before the election, be convicted before the election, and preferably thrown into prison. This is the media. It's bad enough the Democrat Party, which is an autocratic/totalitarian party, the likes of which this nation's never seen, the same Democrat Party responsible for so many hideous and horrendous events in our history: slavery, segregation, Jim Crow, eugenics, suppressing the vote of black people. And now the Democrat Party is the home to the river to the sea crowd, the Islamists, the obliterate the Jews, destroy them. They just never embrace Americanism. They never embrace our country. But you're a lot smarter, honestly, if you never watch the news and make up your own mind about things that are going on in your own life and that people talk with you about. You're a lot smarter, you're a lot better informed, and psychologically, you're a lot better off if you don't watch this sort of stuff. But this is just flat out Soviet style, communist Chinese style, Third Reich style propaganda.